Hello everyone and welcome back to the Milwaukee Brewers franchise on MLB The Show. In this episode, we are going to actually be playing a game in May as opposed to April. I know in the last episode of the monthly recap, I just went over like half of this month, but instead I decided just to simulate the rest and go on to May and play a game in May. I just didn't want to play another game in like the first month of the season since we already played through opening day. But first, let me start you guys off with some quick updates to some players. Christian Yelich is playing out of his mind with a 1300 OPS right now and 15 home runs to start the season. And then Omar Narvaez, when we saw him in the last episode, he was on an absolute cold streak at like a 500 OPS, but now he's completely resurfaced as a good player and he's at an 849 OPS, so he's at an overall pretty good bounce back jump to the year so far. As for the game you're going to be watching in this episode, we're going to be taking on the Cardinals on May 1st, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, today we're going to be taking on the St. Louis Cardinals in Milwaukee. Freddie Peralta getting the start, 3.03 ERA on 32 innings pitched so far. He would be faced by Miles Mikolas at a 1.35 ERA through 46 innings so far. We're going to start top of the first, Kolten Wong leading off in this one. He swings and misses on that fastball. And then Brock Holt now bottom of the second, one out. He would go gapping to get started. First pitch swinging on his at-bat. He would get into second with a pretty easy double. Eric Sogard up now, 1-1 count, one out. He would send that one into left center field, scoring Brock Holt. However, Sogard would only hold up at first, and that would be it for the inning. Now, top of the fourth, Dexter Fowler up at the plate. He would swing and miss at that curveball. Paul Goldschmidt up next. He would get caught swinging and missing at that same curveball. And then Paul DeYoung, 0-2. He would get caught looking, a really bad call by the umpire in this one. But, hey, we got it to go for us. We got an extra strikeout. We got the strikeout this side. Keston Hiura, bottom of the fourth. He would go gapping with nobody out. He would get into second with a double on that one, very similar to Brock Holt's earlier. And then Eric Sogard again, now with Hiura at third. He would go gapping into right center field. He would get Hiura home, and then he would take his place at second with a double. Eric Sogard so far being the savior for this one. Justin Smoke now batting in the 8-hole. He would send that one into right center field. He would send around Sogard and get him in to score, and he would get in with another double. You're going to notice in this one, not a lot of highlights from guys like Christian Yelich and Avisal Garcia. We had some really good stuff from our depth guys. Matt Carpenter swinging and getting out there, and then with two outs in the top of the fifth, Tyler O'Neill, he would get that one over the second baseman's head, and it would roll all the way to the wall in right center field, and he would get Tyler O'Neill into second. He is an absolute speedster. However, nothing would come of it for the rest of the inning. Lorenzo Cain up now as he would bloop one into center field, getting on first to open the inning. Next man up would be Avisal Garcia. Garcia would take that one and line it into left center field. Cain would be able to come around and score on that one as Garcia would get himself a double. Just a ton of doubles in this one. Jeez, I didn't even realize. And then the Cardinals would bring in their reliever, 3.29 ERA on 27 innings pitched. Christian Yelich up at the plate now. He would get a little chopped grounder up into center field, and it would bring around Garcia. Nice soft contact for Yelich there. And then Omar Narvaez on the full count, he would walk, so it would be two men on with one out, and then Brock Holt would be up. Holt having the game of his career as he would bloop that one into center field, and it would load the bases up for Eric Sogard. Eric Sogard, though he was playing hero earlier in this one, he would line that one straight to the shortstop, and that would cause everyone to stop and then go, so that would be a double play getting him out of the inning. Now Freddie Peralta, one man on. He gets Paul DeYoung swinging at that one. Matt Carpenter, next man up. Carpenter swings and misses on that curveball. And then Corey Knebel, now that I know how to pronounce his name, would come in the top of the 8th inning to go ahead and just relieve Peralta in this one. Andrew Kisner going ahead and pinch hitting for the pitcher here. He would go down swinging, and then Kolten Wong would just get caught looking at the knuckle curve. David Phelps now brought in the top of the 9th just to kind of shut the door on this game. He was just a guy who I wanted to use just because I noticed he hadn't been getting that many innings from the simulation, but he would get 3 grounders and get 1, 2, 3 up and down, and that would be it for this one. So the Brewers get their big win to start off the month of May. They continue their hot streak this season. And as for the Cardinals, they don't look like the same team as last year in the slightest, and it seems like they're going to need some Cardinal Devil magic to get back to where they were. But other than that, as for this game, a ton of doubles, not a lot of highlights from traditional guys like Yelich, like we saw in the opening day game. But I mean, I'm pretty happy to see a lot of our depth guys, a lot of guys I wasn't really betting on being big contributors this season, turn in and do pretty well, because this is what makes, like, what differentiates a World Series team from just a very good one. And so hopefully this is just a sign of consistency and things to come for this season. But now let's go ahead and get into the monthly recap. So for the month of May, we were really good, apart from like that stretch of like 4 games against the Yankees and the one against the Cubs. Other than that, really good month. I mean, the Yankees are just like a top 3 team in baseball, so there's not much we can do there. And then as for our hitters, Yelich is still trying to produce at that MVP rate, and he's doing pretty well at it. Ryan Braun and Justin Smoke have been really huge surprises for us, which is really good because we need these guys to be surprises if we want to try to compete for a title this year. As for Tyrone Taylor, he got a couple more ABs thanks to an injury to Lorenzo Cain, so he performed really well in those. Obviously, I don't expect that 871 OPS to continue being what he does, but pretty good nonetheless. Keston Hiura and Omar Narvaez are both having pretty decent season. Narvaez has cooled off from where we saw in the start of the episode. Brock Holt's doing pretty good, and as for the rest of the hitters, Orlando Arcia, I hope, can kind of rebound and be a little better. Same thing for Eric Sogard. And Manny Pena, I don't expect him to be much of a hitter, but just because he's only playing against lefties, I would hope that that OPS would be a bit higher. Now, moving on to our pitching, David Phelps, he hasn't gotten that many opportunities, so he still looks like he's having a terrible year, but he's not that bad. Adrian Hauser's a guy who I hope can kind of figure it out for us. And then for the rest of our pitchers, we've had really strong seasons from everyone. I was completely expecting pitching to be a huge need that we would need to really address if we wanted to do well and advance further in the playoffs this season, but we've been killing it as far as pitching staff. Now, as for like trades or anything else, not many big trades have happened. That's what you're seeing in front of you. And then as for some quick like stats around the league, Yelich still leads the league in home runs, RBIs, or he's like second in RBIs, second in batting average. So he's having a crazy year right now, leading the voting in MVP. So we hope that he keeps that up. But other than that, that'll be it for this episode. In the next episode, we're going to see the draft plus the game in the month of June. And other than that, thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Adios.